In Bayelsa State, the chairman of the Nigerian Labour Congress led the organized labour unions in staging a protest in solidarity with workers in tertiary institutions in the state. Joined by the National Association of Nigerian Students, the union marched on the Bayelsa State Government House to show their displeasure with the delay in resolving the grievances of workers in academic institutions in the country.
They have claimed that today's rally is illegal and that we should not come out. Are we not here? We will continue to do the right thing at the right time. The needful will always be done until they do that which is right. This country belongs to all of us and we must change it. The time for sitting down and being idle is over. We will rise and ensure that the desired changes will take place in this country. Please open the universities. Listen to the education sector-based unions and ensure that their demands are met.
We are very, very happy because for the first time the Nigerian Labour Congress is supporting the cause of ASUU. Before now, people always believe it is just ASUU, ASUU, ASUU. But this time, the Nigerian working class has risen up to support the struggle of ASUU. This struggle is not just ASUU against government, it's a struggle between the working class and against the ruling class. And so we are very, very happy.
We are here to raise our displeasure because the federal government has ignored to play their full role of educational revitalization in Nigeria. You can see the bourgeoisies in Nigeria sending their children outside the country for the sake of attaining the best and quality education, while Nigeria and the poor masses are being neglected for them to attend school. That's why you can see that the federal government has not paid attention. They are after transition period. Instead of giving education a priority. As Nigerians know, we are tired. Our ages are going. You can see that the NYC is 30 years of mobilization. And some persons, 8 or 4 years course is spending 8 years. 5 years professional course, they are spending 10 years. We are tired. I don't want to say to the federal government that as a matter of urgency, they should call on this strike. Or else, as National Association of Nigerian Students, we are going to come up with a radical action that will be a shock to this nation.
We all went through the same process. And if we had strikes like this, we will not be where we are today. And therefore, no right-thinking man, either in authority or not in authority, will accept and accede what is going on today. That for 5 months, our universities have been shut down. I thought that we have overcome this. I like to identify with you, and I like to join you, and will certainly convey your message to the villa in Abuja. We will do that both by writing and by all other means legitimate to ensure that this impasse between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities is resolved.
But let's actually cross to Bayelsa State and join Ovieteme George, who is standing by to talk to us. Ovieteme, talk to us here in the streets of Yenagoa and witnessing this particular protest right now. Talk to us. How are the students feeling and what's the pulse like in Yenagoa?
In this protest, the labor unions are trying to establish the fact that in one way or another, we are all casualties of this strike. Not just the students who are in their homes, perhaps taking up one menial jobs, or those who have in one way or another allowed themselves to be influenced by peer pressure to do something untoward. Society is grumbling. The labor unions are angry. Now look at this. Amongst all those who marched to the government house, just right in front of the gate there, Bayelsa State Government House, in one way or another are affected. Is it the labor union chairman? That is the NLC, Bipri Indiomu. Is it the Ratau? One or another may have a child, a son, a daughter, a ward, or a friend's daughter that is in a tertiary institution that has been home for more than 5 months. How long would this go on? There is anger in the land, and like I said earlier, we are all in one way or another affected by this strike. We are all casualties. So the protest has just been registered today. They call it a solidarity march all the way to Government House, where Governor Ovieteme addressed them. But the common denominator here is nobody's happy about this sad situation that has engulfed tertiary institutions in Nigeria today. Aaron?
So, Ovieteme, what is the security situation like at the moment, considering the fact that the federal government had earlier warned that the protests could be hijacked by criminals?
Bayelsa is a peculiar state. Yenagoa is a peculiar capital. The policemen were with them and more like escorted them all through until they ended the protest at the Government House, where they peacefully dispersed to their various destinations. There was no problem whatsoever. There was no molestation. There was no intimidation. It was more like esprit de corps. Now look at this. If you talk about the security situation, what about the policemen? A policeman there may have a son or a daughter that is in a tertiary institution that has been home for more than 5 months. So what do you do? What instructions are you going to carry out against those who are peacefully protesting for a change in the status quo, in the state of affairs, that would affect you, the policeman, positively? So it was more like a jolly ride. They were all talking and walking around the street, going all the way to the Government House gates, discussing, of course, the subject of the big talk amongst the people and even the policemen is, when will this strike end? 5 months and counting. Some students have gone into menial jobs. Some have gone into what Nigerians call, in the pidgin parlance, Yahoo Yahoo, cybercrime. How long will this go on? It's affecting society, and everyone is feeling the pangs of this strike. It doesn't, at the moment, look as if it's going to end. Today you hear Labour is meeting with the federal government, and tomorrow it is deadlocked. And now it's been taken off the Minister of Labour, Chris Ngige. So what Nigerians are expecting, that whoever is handling it this time around should be swift about how to deal with it for the students to return to their various institutions, to return to their various campuses, to resume learning. Now look at this scenario. So sad, the student actually pointed it out there, that those who are supposed to spend 4 years in the university are spending close to 8 years. Those who have gone, who should have gone to serve Nigeria via the National Youth Service Corps, are still at home. And when you go beyond the age of 30, perhaps 31, you are no longer eligible to serve this great country via the NYSC. So that's the sad situation.
Ovieteme, it's definitely a sad situation in which, like you said, everyone is affected in one way or another. We do know that it was a planned 2-day protest for the individuals all over the country. I'm wondering if you've heard anything more from the NLC about whether they would extend it farther than 2 days, and what they hope the impact will be, seeing as we come to this point and not much gets done. What hopes do they have that this particular protest will push the needle in a positive way for them?
Yes, curiosity piqued our interest. We wanted to know if it would just end today or if it will be extended to tomorrow and the coming days. It is not quite clear yet if the NLC will lead other labor unions to march tomorrow in the streets of Yenagoa. But I'll quickly point out that 6 points were listed in their protest today. They want the federal government to sign the renegotiated draft agreement between ASUU and the federal government. The federal government should adopt university transparency accountability solution in place, and then to pay earned academic allowances. They also want the federal government to release revitalization fund, whatever that means, release white paper on visitation to federal universities, and finally, they want the federal government to amend the National Universities Council law to control proliferation of state universities without funding. Well, the way they spoke today and the way they registered their grievances, talking about the labor unions, it is expected that they would come out again tomorrow, but then we will get notification from them. This information about the protest today was not communicated to us yesterday. It was done just this morning. Perhaps they are trying to be careful because of the warning from security agencies too. So let's just keep our fingers crossed, looking at what happens. If there would be a protest tomorrow, we'll definitely be there.
All right, Ovieteme, speaking to the people and the protesters, did they give you any inkling that they feel that this particular move and this particular protest will yield the needed result? Because it's one thing to protest, it's one thing to press on your demands, it's another thing to get these demands heard and you actually get the results. What do you think?
Aaron, I didn't get your last words, please.
Just want to find out, do you think that the people are convinced that taking to the streets and protesting for their rights will get the needed reaction from the government and certainly get people back to school?
Well, it is typical of the Nigerian society where you don't embark on protest marches. Nobody tends to hear you. Nobody feels your pain. But this one was organized in such a manner that I think they have the confidence that the authorities would hear them. Now, this is a nationwide protest, not just in Bayelsa. So the message is quite clear to the federal government, to the Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of Education, that I'm talking about the federal level. I believe there's this confidence, hope, and expectations that their grievances will be heard, their complaints will be heard, and something will be done soon and soon enough. Aaron, this situation is dire in a country like this. Looking beyond and taking this conversation further to the national narrative, insecurity on the one hand, students at home not being able to go to school, on the other, staying at home, what would happen? Predictably, crime could increase. And so doing this, I think the federal government should just swiftly act, call the labor unions to a roundtable negotiation, talk where there is need to cede territory. It should be done for the students to return to school. It is a sad situation. Nobody wants to be in a situation of these students today. While you were in school, when I was in school, perhaps the only time I experienced a strike, it didn't go beyond 2 weeks. I could remember quite well at the University of Port Harcourt. But now, 5 months just looks like 5 years to them because they've been home. The only good news, the bit of news that has come to Nigeria in recent times was just Oluwatobiloba Amushan winning at the games in Oregon. That's just the sweet news. Everything has been sad so far. Aaron, you're laughing. You're a sports journalist. This is the truth. Yesterday was just a moment of respite for Nigerians, but now we have been woken up by this labor unions protest that yet again the students are still home. Wake up and smell the coffee. Things are not going right for Nigeria at the moment.
All right. Certainly, Oluwatobiloba Amushan certainly a shining light and a source of inspiration to men in Nigeria. I want to thank you very much, Ovieteme, for your time here on Newsday.